All right, this video is titled "The VTubing Community is Terrible." I think the VTuber community as a whole is just super, you know, segregated, right? Everybody's in their own little spot. So I think you could definitely find places that are terrible, but I'm sure there's some good places too. But let's go ahead and talk about it.
I'm probably about to make a lot of people really angry at me for some reason, but
Cozy.
whatever, let's do this anyway. Hi, if you don't know me already, I'm Cozy.
Nice
I
to meet
am
you.
an artist, animator, and VTuber who created my own digital avatar to
Oh,
create content with. And if you
cool.
hadn't heard of this before, it's called VTubing. Wow! Basically short for virtual YouTuber. We're just content creators that choose to use like an avatar for our content.
Is this a reference to Code Lyoko? Whenever Alita would climb the tower and then she would step forward and then like.
Instead of using like a
Because if
camera
so, man, that's an automatic.
and
That's an
stuff like that.
automatic like.
There's a lot of
If that
reasons for
is
it,
exactly what that
ranging
is,
from just wanting to show off art,
it could just be like a power button.
wanting a more private lifestyle, wanting to have a cute character that matches up with our content better. Whatever it is, there are a lot of reasons to get into it, but that's not really why we're here. I'm here to say that VTubers have formed a very insular sort of community, and it sucks.
Mm,
Now, look,
let's
before you
hear
get
it.
mad at me, obviously this isn't every VTuber. This isn't every part of VTubing. This is a
It's just the
vast,
community.
generalized outlook of VTubing
Yeah.
that I can only give because I do speak to and interact with a lot of content creators that are not in the same space. I stream with a lot of facecam streamers on the Mythical SMP. I have family members that work for larger YouTubers with like full companies and stuff. I know a few
Wow.
mid-sized streamers and editors and content creators, so on. This is generalized, but it is what people see when they search VTubers or when they try to get into the space or when they like try to interact with the community or stuff like that. And just to get this argument out of the way too, yes, VTubing is a community. Not to get overly autistic in your face, but one simple definition of a community is a group of people living in the same space or having a particular characteristic in common. So it's just a group of people that are in a similar place, do similar things, etc. There is a Twitch community, there's a YouTuber community, etc. It's not everyone.
It's just like I don't know why there has to be some type of straw hair. Okay, if there's VTubers that do VTubing on Twitch and VTubers that do VTubing on YouTube, and these people also correlate and hang out in places like Twitter, they're obviously the whole thing is a community. I don't know why there has to be straw hairs.
It's just a vast, generalized way to refer to things, right? And usually you want a community to be a place with like minded people who you get along with, but let's be honest, that's not always the case. Not everybody always gets along with their neighbor, but they are still a part of the same community. This is
True.
kind of one of those
Like
cases.
outside.
The VTuber community is a tight-knit little circle that hears about every bit of each other's drama through Twitter or Discord or streaming circles or more. We hover around the same top VTubers, we hover around the same agencies, we hear anytime something goes wrong, even if it's a really small-scale thing like the small VTuber awards that happened last year or this year, both of them had drama. Oh god. Um Or with like recent information from Fillion about not having permissions for her merchandise. We may not know everything, but we
I still have no idea what's going on there.
usually hear a lot about things that are going on in the community if we're heavily involved in it and if we read a lot about it and if we see the news about it and stuff like that. Okay, so the reason why I decided to make this video is basically because I saw this tweet by Virtua Valentine recently. People in the community have been giving me a weird look for saying VTwitter is on its last legs, but places outside the bubble are becoming aware of the toxicity here. You should be diversifying your portfolio and distancing yourself hard right now if you want to make this long term. And they mean, of course, distancing yourself from VTwitter, from the VTuber community in general, because a lot of it is actually centralized on Twitter. Especially if you scroll down and look at some of the comments here. Virtua also mentioned we had to make a blacklist account for the sheer amount of shit people, and it is non-comprehensive. People outside of here laugh at us for this, and they do. So here's the thing. What are the things that you can say that the general public knows about VTubing? I would say the first thing is that they
The
think that a lot of
characters.
kids are involved in it, or a lot of childish looking avatars. That's just a thing that a lot of people seem to point out a lot. A secondary thing is that there are really bad concerts, I guess. I feel really bad for poor Dakapo. He did a great concert. It was a concert that was perfectly for his fans, and I think it was for free as far as I know. You just had to buy like a ticket for the convention or something like that. And it was just like a live 2D model like I have right here, and he was just like wiggling around a little bit and stuff like that. But people thought that it was a full concert that cost a lot of money to get into, and they were really upset about it. And then what's the third thing that people know about the VTuber community? Oh, Niji Sanji drama. And that was a mess. Oh my god. You can make some
No
arguments for
kidding.
people knowing a couple of other things, like that there are a lot of really scantily clad VTuber models out there. A lot of people complain about the amount of VTubers on Twitch that do ASMR content. Also, people complain about the amount of them on YouTube that do ASMR content. I know there's been a lot of VTuber channels been taken down recently on YouTube for ASMR roleplay scenarios and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into what's a good thing or a bad thing. Listen, that's not the purpose here. The point is that everything that the generalized public seems to think about the English VTubing community is terrible. It's so bad. But let's say that you're past all that. Let's say that you entered into the VTuber community and you know all of this stuff isn't necessarily true, or like there's reasons behind it or whatever the heck, right? There's a second layer of insular activities. There's a second layer of stuff that you need to pierce into in VTubing before you can actually kind of enter into the community and understand what the hell is going on. The main thing that I'm talking about here is technically idol culture, but it goes deeper than that. It goes more into the type of people who talk about idol culture.
From my perspective, it seems like a lot of the idol culture has gone down significantly, right? I've been in the community for a year. Has it been like almost 2 years, something like that, right? So I'm still fairly new to the community, but I remember back when I joined and like I first learned about Hollow Live, right? I knew about idol culture, of course, because K-pop, right? So I already am familiar with the idea of idol culture, right? So back in the day, of course, Hollow Live, they're idols, but the idol culture in itself, I think, has definitely gone down a lot. A lot of the taboos have been, you know, they're not really taboo anymore, but we adhere to these constructs and rules of past lives and things like that. Not because, you know, of idol culture, but just because it's just more respectful to not really bring it up. But if you need to bring it up in like some type of conversation or something or talk about it, it's way more acceptable nowadays, especially because, more people of Western society have infiltrated the VTubing scene and the VTubing sphere and have become basically they become celebrities of their own right inside of the VTube sphere. So yeah, definitely idol culture is still around, but it's not as forced upon new entries of the VTube sphere like they used to be. So I think like, personally, I would say, it's more of a positive thing to let people express their gratitude in different ways. Not everybody wants to adhere to idol culture because it basically it changes your life to basically just worship somebody, and not everybody wants to do that. Some people want to just respect the art or respect the entertainer for that, the just pure aspect that they are entertaining, and not necessarily have to worship them like a god, like a lot of the people used to do, or some people still do, right? They're called unicorns. um but it's basically not that, at least from what I've seen, it's not that big a deal, but it's still something that's around. So yeah. It is changing, definitely changing, for my personal opinion, changing for the better, right? Even the Press Nosadi made a video talking about how idol culture is dying down. So it's something that's not like in the next 2 to 5 years probably won't even be talked about as much, even with big idol organizations like Hollow Live.
all the time.
But that's
There's
just
a
my
bunch
opinion.
of people in VTubing who seem to think that idol culture is the only way to be a VTuber. That if you kind of dip outside of what normal idol culture is, then you cannot be a VTuber or like you're not a real VTuber or stuff like that. I was actually talking with some friends earlier to try and define what it is to be a VTuber and like what the difference is from VTubing versus like rotoscoped animation or like from the annoying orange or like from
Classic.
MatPat or stuff like that. It's really hard to actually differentiate VTubing because everybody has a different idea of what it should be. And for some reason, everybody wants to shove that definition onto everybody else. So if you are a female, but you stream with men, and somebody thinks that real VTubers don't do that because that's not part of idol culture, and you're supposed to be catering towards your fans, and you're supposed to be like, trying to make the unicorns love you. That is harmful. That sucks. Let's stop doing that. VTubing is something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I would really love to expand past the really insular community that we've got right now and find new ways to define the content. I think that right now we're not defined by our content, we're defined by our mistakes or the things that we've done wrong or the things that are bad about us or that people think are bad about us. And I want to be defined more by being a digital content creator, creating really cool technological things.
And I respect that you want to be defined by the progress that you've made in your personal accomplishments, right? But perception is reality. And when it comes to the perception of VTube culture or VTube as a hobby or whatever it is people look at VTube as, it's not going to be solely based off the great things that people do with VTubing. That's mostly the job of the corporations to show that, right? So when Hololive had their Dodgers game, that's them changing the perception of VTube culture by doing something on a grand scale. If you want to do something on a personal scale, that reflects mostly just you and maybe your group, if your group is also participating in just showing that, hey, we just do great things and we are VTubers. But to change the whole perception requires, if anything, it requires an entire culture shift, right? So what I mean by that, a lot of the big things, like you said earlier, that uh, we know is all the V2 drama. People care so much more about other people's mistakes in the VTube community. Why? Because the VTube is, even though it is vast, it is still pretty compared to other scenes on the internet, it's still kind of small, right? So versus like gaming, right? Gaming is something that is so big that VTubers do it. Okay. Not all VTubers do gaming though. See what I'm saying? So if we're gonna change these misconceptions, we need to start by looking inward and start looking at who are the big people in the V2 sphere, right? Besides like the corporations, because the corporations are always going to be moving towards doing or having a positive light. What we need to do is focus more on like the indie scene, the indie culture. What are indies doing, right? Everybody's doing their own thing. So how can we come in and say, hey, what you're doing is harmful for the community, which legitimately there might be things that are harmful for the community. But who are the community leaders to say, hey, what you're doing is harmful for the community? You don't deserve to be here. And should we allow somebody to have that power? Should we have people have the power to say what is and what is not acceptable for VTube as a culture? If you're going to change the perception of VTubing, you're going to have to get rid of the bad eggs. And there are a lot of bad eggs. There's a lot of bad apples, right? One bad apple spoils the bunch. But yesterday I saw a video where there was a bunch of bad apples just making the black scene of VTubing look bad, right? That scene is still part of VTubing as a whole. So when people see, oh, like I'm black, right? So out here in Thailand, whenever I run into other black people, they have black communities, black groups, right? They have group chats of just black people and stuff like that, right? They want to encourage positive community, right? Now, let's look at the Black VTubing community. It seems like, at least from what I saw, and like in the last video, and just like Black VTubing, let's just say it like this: they have a chip on their shoulder. They want to be represented more, but them trying to represent themselves falls on its face because they don't automatically all support each other, right? The Black VTuber Awards, even though there was some mistakes, there were people in the Black VTuber community that said, we shouldn't talk bad about each other in public. We should leave it in the DMs. But they didn't even listen to their own advice. They were publicly backlashing the event organizers and the people that created the event, right? So I would say those are bad apples. They shouldn't be in the VTube sphere. But just me saying that doesn't make it happen, right? Who is the who is going to say what is and what isn't allowed? Us as a community. But us as a community, we're all fractured because you have the people that only watch idols. There's people that only watch indies. There's people that are only on Twitch. There are people that are only on YouTube. There are people that only watch gamers. There are people that only watch ASMR, right? It's super segregated. So I don't really think there is a way to fix the community unless you find community leaders in each section of the VTube sphere. And then those people figure out a way to get along and share the ideals that they want to share. Basically, what I'm saying is it's going to be difficult. And if you really want to change it, of course, you should start with yourself, right? You should be the beacon, the light of hope to say, hey, what I do over here is what I do, and I would love for more people to be like me, but everybody else is going to do their own thing, right? But I'm going to stick to my thing. If you want to join, welcome aboard. This is how I do it. What they do over there is what they do. That can only get you so far, though. So, honestly, I have no idea how to fix it, but I'm here for the ride, because why not?
things. I want to be defined by just being cool people, even sometimes. I would love to see more of the things out there that currently exist for Hololive, like the Dodgers Hololive night. That was crazy. I can't believe that that happened.
I can't.
But we're not going to get more of that stuff if we can't come together as a community and just let people be what they want to be and just
And this is the part that I'm talking about right now. Let people be what they want to be. Remember, like I said, there are legitimately people that aren't doing anything good for the community. But in saying let them be who they want to be, they are terrible people. They are making the community terrible. But we still want to say let them be who they want to be. You see? I'm sure there's some middle ground somewhere. That's something we got to talk about.
exist in our content space and stop trying to like gatekeep what the community should be and stop calling people tourists all the time. Listen, it doesn't matter if you don't like somebody's opinion on something. You can still have your like happy little parasocial relationship with the girl that does GFE content. That's still gonna exist. Those VTubers will still be out there and they will still create that content for you. But we don't need to always have every single VTuber trying to fit inside of the same mold. I think that we need more VTubers that create video content. I think that we need more VTubers that do more like English songs instead of just Japanese. I think that we need to look past the
You got to lead the way. You say you want these changes. You make this video, VTubing community is terrible. How are you going to fix it? How are you going to change it? It always starts with just one person, by the way. I'm not trying to say you can't do it. I'm here to say that you can do it. You say you want more people to make English songs, create more English songs, create more English covers. The more that you do it, you inspire other people to do the same. When you inspire other people to do the same, more people will be inspired by the multiple people that are doing that. And then there you go. We have more people covering English songs. It all starts with one person. You.
box that we've put ourselves in as a community and try to expand more. Otherwise, we're going to stagnate and we will fail and we will just fall into the deep pit of the internet and will disappear alongside things like MySpace. VTubers are
I don't
currently
think so.
not.
I really don't think so. I think the indies maybe, sure, possibly, maybe, but billion-dollar companies, no, no, I don't think so. The community is too strong over on the Hololive side for that, for them to fail, right? Niji Sanji, whatever. Idol, no. Bishojo, you're doing fine. Indies, everybody else, yeah, those are the people that definitely need to make some type of change, right? Even with me making this video as a flesh tube, I could make this video as a VTuber, right? And it might, if anything, it might make what I'm saying seem more legitimate in the eyes of the people because they already like VTubers, right? So, I do my part as well by having these actual conversations, right? We're talking about the community is terrible. We're going to talk about how to also fix it, our perspectives on the community, on what should change, and we're going to have a healthy dialogue about it, which in turn makes other people have healthy dialogue about it, which in turn spreads it even further, right? These are the things that these videos, like a video like this, should be made. My reaction video to it should be made. The people leaving comments about the videos should be made, right? These are all things that help change the perception and change the perspective and introduces a new way of seeing things. So this video is definitely awesome. And I like what I hear. I hear that you want to make change. I hear that you you're trying to do what you think is best for the community. So of course I'm gonna hit it with a like. I'll hit it with a sub too, because I'm interested to see what other conversations can we have next.
A
Let's
very big
continue.
part of the content space. There's not very many VTubers that have like popular videos that hit like 100,000, 300,000, etc. views. There's not a lot of VTubers that are in top content competitions or in like showcases of skill if they're doing like tournaments or stuff like that. There's just not a lot of VTubers that are involved in a lot of aspects of creation. There's some that are into things like VR chat, which have gotten a little bit farther, but even
Your
then,
chat is very popular.
VTubing is kind of stuck in a bubble, and we really need to push past it. I think that's especially true because of the danger that it causes to new people that are entering into the space. When you become a VTuber, one of the first things that you find are VTuber agencies. And one of the first things that you see from VTuber agencies are the fact that they give everyone their own personalized models. The thing with that is a lot of kids and a lot of people who are just completely unaffiliated with the space feel like you cannot be a VTuber unless you are a part of these content agencies, unless you are a part of these places that will give you a free model. There's not a lot of guides to get into it for really low cost. There's not a lot of ways for people to dip their toes into the space and try to understand what's
Are you gonna
happening in it.
remedy this situation?
I actually would like to try and make some videos on this sort of stuff and try and help people to understand what things in the community mean currently because I feel like things like an Oshi mark. What the hell is that? People don't know what the hell an Oshi mark is when they're on the outside. What the hell am I talking about with idol culture? The people that are on the inside that know all of this stuff, they know what I'm talking about. But the people who are on the outside who just maybe clicked on this video for fun, you have no fucking clue what I'm talking about right now. Right? So I want to make some videos to try and help people out with that more, but I really feel like we need to try and step away from some of those things. I, as a person who has been streaming with other facecam people recently and who has had some of them follow me on Twitter and stuff like that, I've noticed the things that I post, and I realize so many of them would make no sense if I had no clue what was going on with VTubing. I look at my own posts and I'm like, if one of my friends, if one of my facecam streamer friends reads this post, will they actually understand it? And most of the time the answer is no. And I think I and other people need to look into changing that sort of thing. I think that we need to try and create a more friendly, welcoming, open community so that we can try to grow more. Because I think currently we're getting stuck, we're getting trapped And everything surrounding VTubing is so negative and it's so bad that people just feel like it's in general the worst. Like VTubing itself is a problem, you know? Anyway, sorry, this is my unscripted ranting about VTuber culture and the VTuber community and stuff like that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you maybe want to come back and listen to some of my ramblings about what everything means in terms of VTuber culture, because I will start doing some of those. I'm also going to do some tutorial videos trying to explain things like how to get better mouth tracking and stuff like that, because I did a couple of those on my main channel in the past, but I wanted to create more in-depth guides that kind of help people understand more, because I, I know life this. I know life this shit. This is all I do all day. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for watching. And
It's an interesting video. Definitely an interesting conversation, and an important conversation to have. So I like that Cozy is trying to help. I like that she is accepting the responsibility of also trying to change it personally. That's also good. I've never been a fan of the type of people that make a video that say, oh man, this is terrible. And they talk about how bad it is, but they don't give any type of solution. They just want to complain. So it's always good if you're going to make a complaint to have some type of solution or something that you think would, remedy the issue. So yeah, it's a good video. Definitely something to think about and to talk about. So you let me know in the comments below what you think about the VTubing community. You think it can be fixed? Do you think it can be uh, saved? Or do you think, only idol culture will prevail because they have pretty much a chokehold on the VTubing industry as a whole? I mean, they were there first, right? So it would make sense if they come out victorious in the end. But let me know in the comments below what you think. It's your boy KhunShawn. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.